guys, I'm Julie Spencer, author of the Buxton Peak series, and we are right now working our way through Buxton Peak Book 2, Center Stage, and we're just starting into Chapter 2. If you like this video, I would love it if you would give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel and share this video on YouTube, on any social media. I would love it if you would share it. Show it to other people, especially those who are blind or visually impaired, because this video series is dedicated to my friend Leslie, who's been blind since birth, in the entire visually impaired community. So with no further ado, let's start into Chapter 2. Oh, and if you haven't read Chapter 1 or listened to it, I strongly recommend going back through and doing that. Okay, Chapter 2 is called Paris. Megan, Rhonda's voice slurred over a delayed phone line. I need your help. Rhonda? Megan sat straight up in bed and fumbled for the lamp, sleep pulling at her body even as her head cleared enough to realize something was very wrong with her former suite-mate and best friend. Where are you? Paris, I think. I've been sick for days, so I don't know, but they're all speaking French. Where are Kai and Ian? Megan asked. Getting ready to go on stage, probably. I don't know. Rehearsals, maybe? Rhonda spoke quietly, seeming distracted. They've been gone just a little while, I think. Megan looked at the clock. If it was almost 7 a.m. here in Michigan, then it was almost noon in France. Megan still couldn't understand how Rhonda could drop out of school just prior to her last semester at Central Michigan University to become a groupie for a rock band. Rhonda had been traveling with Buxton Peak for 2 months since their lead guitar player, Kai Burton, had invited her to come on their European tour. Rhonda had always been a little irresponsible, but that was over the top. Where are you right now? Megan asked. A hotel? She sounded sleepy. Megan sensed she needed to keep Rhonda talking. Rhonda, wake up. I'm awake, sort of. I don't feel right. I think it was laced with something. My heart's racing and it's scaring me. What was laced with something? Megan was fully awake now and jumped up to gather any belongings she'd need to travel overseas. She grabbed clothes to replace her pajamas, shoes, coat, passport, and her purse. As she collected things from around her dorm room, she tried to keep Rhonda talking. What did you take? Gary gave me some pot, but it must have been laced with something because I'm not supposed to feel like this. Megan wanted to scream. After that, she wanted to punch Gary Owens in the nose and hope he was sober enough to feel the pain. So what if Gary was the band's only drummer? He could perform with a broken nose for all she cared. That or spend a couple of nights in jail for giving illegal drugs to his bandmate's girlfriend. She shook her roommate, surprised Jenny hadn't woken up from all the talking and lights and moving around. While she did, Megan kept Rhonda talking. Why did Gary give you pot? Where was Kai at the time? Kai didn't know. Gary's been giving it to me for a couple of weeks because I felt so sick. What? Why are you sick, Rhonda? What's going on? I don't know, Rhonda sighed. The traveling maybe, the food, I don't know. We've been on tour and on the tour bus a lot, and there's a lot of moving. I've just felt sick. And you thought marijuana was going to help? Gary said it would, Rhonda insisted. And sometimes it sort of does, but this time my heart started racing and I feel really weird. You've got to help me. How can I help from Michigan? Megan thought, trying to figure out what to do next. Rhonda, Megan pleaded, can you walk to the door of your hotel room? By now, Jenny was sitting straight up in bed, wide-eyed and white-faced. I guess, Rhonda slurred. Why? I want you to go to the front desk at the hotel, and I want you to hand them your cell phone so I can talk to them. But they speak French. They won't understand you. Megan gripped the phone, her pulse racing. I'll make them understand, she thought. Just go downstairs and find the front desk. Megan heard the ding of the elevator, then Rhonda moaning. She mumbled that the elevator was moving too fast. Then there was another ding. Megan sensed it was taking all of Rhonda's concentration just to get to the lobby. Once there, she gave Megan a description of the pattern on the carpet and the pretty vase that was sitting by a large mirror. Finally, Rhonda got to the front desk and Megan heard Rhonda tell the lady to take her phone, but the lady spoke back in French as if she didn't understand. Finally, a woman's voice came on and Megan let out her breath in gratitude. Bonjour? Parlez-vous anglais? Megan pleaded. No, madame. The lady sounded apologetic. Megan was going to have to pull out her freshman level ability in French in order to get her point across. Mon ami, l'hôpital, s'il vous plaît. Megan pleaded her most rudimentary ability for the hotel clerk to get her friend to the hospital. The lady must have understood her because she began speaking very quickly in French. Then the phone was set down and she heard the lady pick up a landline to call for help. Megan waited for what seemed like an eternity before sirens sounded in the distance, along with several more voices, all speaking French. She hadn't heard Rhonda speak in quite a while. Megan was afraid Rhonda had passed out. Noises in the background eventually died down. Megan realized the phone was sitting on the counter, still connected but forgotten. She hoped someone would find it and pick it up. In the meantime, Megan finished gathering the things she needed, used the toilet, brushed her teeth, and convinced Jenny to drive her to the airport. Using Jenny's phone, Megan called a travel agent. By the time they'd reached the airport in Saginaw, she had all the details arranged, including a car to pick her up from the airport in Paris. It helped having an unlimited supply of funds, thanks to her very wealthy husband and the credit card he'd given her for emergencies. This was an emergency. She paid extra to fly from Saginaw with a quick layover at the Detroit Metro International Airport. Then it was a straight shot to Paris. She'd be there by 8:30 the next morning. She was still connected to Rhonda's phone and prayed someone would pick it up. It had now been over 2 hours, and she wasn't sure how long it'd stay connected. Eventually, she'd need to hang up and call Ian, but he was probably on stage. She just held on to the line. Finally, the connection was gone, and she wasn't sure if the battery had died or if someone had found the phone and hung it up. Megan took the opportunity to call Ian and left him a voicemail. She called Kai and left him a voicemail. She didn't have Gary or Andy's phone numbers, but wished she did. What to do? Ed. She had Ed's phone number. She dialed it, but again got voicemail. She ground her teeth together and gripped the edge of her chair, wishing there was something more she could do. Megan had a long wait before getting on the plane because the flight that got her there the quickest didn't leave until 5 o'clock that evening. She should have thought of that before racing to the airport. By the time she had boarded the plane, Megan had left voicemails for Ian's mom, her own mom, and Ian's dad. She wanted to throw her phone across the terminal, but it wouldn't help. She tried to sleep on the plane, but it was useless, so she just prayed a lot. She left their airport in Paris with another conundrum. She had no idea what hospital Rhonda would have been taken to. She didn't even know what hotel she'd been staying at. Thankfully, her driver spoke decent English, and she tried to explain who the guys were and where they likely played the night before. He guessed approximately which hotels they might have stayed at and which hospitals were close to that part of the city. He started making phone calls and spoke a lot of French she didn't understand, but he finally figured out where Rhonda was. Megan breathed a sigh of relief, but she still hadn't heard back from Ian or anyone else. Was something wrong with her phone? She tried to check her reception and panic gripped her. It was dead, and she had forgotten her charger. She asked the driver to call Ian's phone from his, and Jeremy answered. Jeremy? Megan should have known Ian wouldn't answer a number he didn't recognize. She was glad he had an attentive manager. Where's Ian? Megan? Are you in France? Jeremy asked. The caller ID must have shown a local number. Please let me talk to my husband. Megan's hands were shaking. Ian's voice came on the line. Megan, babe, where are you? What are you doing in France? Your voicemail had us so worried. We can't find Rhonda. She's in the hospital, Megan said. Her breathless words tumbled through her panic. Rhonda called me and was so worried about her. You were at your concert. I couldn't reach any of you, so I got on a plane. The taxi driver helped me find the right hospital. We're almost there. You're in Paris? Ian sounded excited instead of worried for his best friend's girlfriend. I can't wait to see you. Ian Taylor, this is not about you or me. I don't want to see your face unless it's at the hospital. We're almost there. It'll just be a few blocks away from your hotel. Now get Kai and meet me there. She hung up the phone in exasperation and almost threw it back at the driver. He dropped her off at the hospital and she tipped him handsomely for all of his help before racing in the door. Okay, we're going to press pause and go on to the next video for the second part of chapter 2.